Hola, good afternoon, everyone. I figured that since a couple days ago I did a video on the Angelic Forks, I would like to touch a little bit more on that, but I would also will discuss something similar, but when it comes to light vibration and the power of our voice. So with that being said, I already introduced what we call the Angelic Forks, which are these. But also, I would like to mention that you can find them in different vibrations. And I have this box that has a lot of different tones that can be used for different vibration, for different synchronizations within your body. They even have the ones called Chakra Forks, which will have at the bottom the color of the chakra and the actual vibration that you're supposed to use according to that chakra. From what I noticed is that the chakra that rules the crown is the exact same vibration of the heart. So that was something interesting that I find out. But with that being said, I would like to mention a little bit more about the different vibrations and why they are so important. For example, if I use 432 high self-feel, it says that mathematically this tunes to nature is beneficial for the healing of the body to help repair itself, and the vibration is associated with nature. Now, this is important because this is not the same as 440. 440 is not good. It's actually man-made. And it is a vibration that indulges emotions, and it almost puts you in a stage of zombie. And it does not supposed to resonate with our body because it was man-made. And anything that deals with vibration, it's a different field within our body, which is within our DNA and in everything that God created. And 440, it was, from what I read before, it has to do with the synchronizations that they're using now to make music. That's why sometimes some melodies, we don't find that atonement, or we don't find that enjoyment. We should be able to listen to music where we feel in a vibration of love, compassion, and that's why sometimes even some melodies gives you that sensation that you want to cry. When you feel some kind of emotion, those are good vibrations even in music. But most of the musics that we hear these days are within the 440 frequency. That is not normal, and it was meant to be able to keep people at an emotional stress where people are having anxiety, fear, or you just follow the rules without questioning it because your vibration is so low that you can't see anything better. And that's why, and this is important too, because this was, from my understanding, this was used back in World War, I believe, 1 and 2, perhaps more World War II, and they were using that vibration to keep the common people under a certain level where they're just following without questioning. And that's why I wanted to mention that. 528 is also another natural frequency. This one, it's like an earth frequency, and it repairs our DNA. It brings transformation. It creates miracles in our life, and it resonates also with our human body. 417 cleanse dramatic experiences, facilitates changes within the body. 639 enhance communication, understanding, and tolerance. Apparently, Dr. Royal Raymond Wright use this method of using different healings on patients that have cancer, terminal cancers, and within 20 days of using this method, they were all healed. 741 frequency is to self-expression. Powers appears to stabilize the life, and it cleanses the cells from toxicity. A52 awakes intuition, returns vibration to the spiritual order. And 963, it restores spirit to original settings that connects our life with God. And this is just a few. If we actually want to know more about frequency, Gary Light is actually very good. He has a lot of videos about vibrations and what does it do. Robert Sefford is another one that also speak about that. And once you look into them, it would also take you to other people that talks about different vibration and why this is good for the body. And but this is also something that we have to understand, because when we're dealing with our own body and our own healing, especially those that want to remove certain things that keep us in fear and anxiety, give us stress and all of that. Sometimes it's hard because, again, you know, sometimes we all have to work. We all have to do certain things. We can't go around not working, because when you work, you pay bills. But sometimes we get stuck in this job, not because we like it, but because this job represents the money that we need to pay our necessities, our daily necessities. Especially we have to also support our family. And with that being said, this is why I've been using these vibrations. And sometimes I don't even use the tones. Sometimes I just wake up in the morning. I remember when I used to work in Camden County Board of Social Services, and at my lunchtime, I used to put a little gate. I used to put my earphones, and for that hour after I ate, I would put my earphones and I would listen to a specific tones. Like right now I'm talking, but in the back we can hear music, and that is 963 that I have. And I usually use that when I'm trying to do these videos, or if I needed to do a lot of research, reading, writing, I will put that, because it keeps me focused. It helps me focus, and it helps me like remember a lot of things that are in relation to what I'm studying or what I was studying at the moment. But it is a good thing to learn a little bit more about this, because like I said, it does helps you with your vibration and things like that. Something to remember about this whole situation is also that if I look at what it's called the golden Fibonacci spiral, it looks like this. But this is showing you that this is why vibration is so important, and the movement, because anything that God created has a movement, you see? So this one is masculine because it's lined straight forward. It's a masculine aspect of the movement. And the one that is in circles is the feminine aspect of movement. But everything that God created has a movement, even our DNA. I show this because this is actually an enhanced picture of a sunflower. So you can see the movements, how it goes. And then from that, it creates more. And it doesn't matter how you project the picture. What you look, it's an infinite movement of vibration. And this is why using Healing Forks is so important, because you are actually using something that is bringing that vibration to the perfect movement or the perfect synchronization within yourself. And since our DNA is actually that exact same pattern, then it is actually a good thing when you do vibration. Another thing that I would like to discuss and with all of this and why vibration is so important is because we also are living in this era where we definitely have to find other methods, and where you are learned to heal your body, because let's face it, not everybody can go to the hospital, and now people are so afraid of going to the hospital because of COVID. They don't want to get sick with COVID while in the hospital. Then they decide to learn, and this is why hearing about Reiki, hearing about bow healing and all of that helps you too. because the reality is that I said in the first video that these healing frequencies are very ancient, and I said in Europe, but in reality this is more Asian. It's more like in Japan, India, Chinese, anybody that deals with Buddhism or Hinduism, they deal some kind of healing using frequency. So, and that's why it's more predominant in that area, but doesn't take from the fact that not only is predominant, but it is so helpful for people to follow. And that's why people are so attractive to Buddhism and Hinduism, because there is an aspect of that religion that help us heal ourselves in the now with this body. Other religions focus more on the soul. Other religions focus more to like go back in the connection with God. But the reality is that as long as we continue to vibrate in such a low frequency as the frequency of here, like in the now, it's hard, because you tend to forget the purpose as to why you're here in the first place. So that's why I like to clear a little bit that. And like I said, I mentioned already, some of the frequencies are good, and you don't need, if you don't have the money, you do not need to get those forks that I show, because some of them prices can be very high. But you're gonna just simply go on YouTube and find meditation music, and they have different synchronicity, and not everybody can start at 963 or 62. Not everybody can do that. You have to start from the low. So the lower imply that some people are better to start at 432 or 528. Why? Because those are the exact same vibrations that you feel the most on earth. So when you do this, the best thing to do is wear your shoes. When you go outside, take your shoes off and wear them. This will help you do that. This will allow you to reconnect with what people call Mother Gaia, to that vibration, and it helps you heal. As simply as doing that and just enjoying the sun, which will give you other benefit, tons of benefits of that, but also it will help you go out and enjoy it. Now, with that being said, I would like to also talk about something that I noticed too when I was reading certain things in the Bible, and the purpose of this so-called vibration. I was always very intrigued by the story in Joshua that talks about the Jericho walls and how they were broke down, how they came down. And what is interesting, that when I was talking about vibration, some people said that it was some kind of full force that brought them down. Oh, that's what they said. But what it interested me wasn't just the fact. They used the word shouting, like shout. And I'm going to go into details exactly the two Bible verses that said, one, God saying something, and then what exactly happened. But I want to actually first say, according to etymology, shouting, the word shout, means to call or cry out loudly. It has an unknown origin, and it actually, they also said, if you look at it in etymology online, it says specifically that it may be root on shoot of the notion through the voiced out loudly. Now, when I actually started to look at Joshua, and I'm going to be specific, which is the chapter 6 and verse 1, and chapter 6 verse 20, which is the conclusion of what God said on chapter 6 verse 1. If I look at the companion Bible, and I like this Bible because this Bible not only tells you, it keeps it back to the original language, which was New King James Version Bible, but at the bottom it will break it down and give you the footnotes, will give you a lot of information, including the words that were used in Hebrew and what that meant, and definitions about that back then. Not now, back then. What did that mean? And that's really good, because I've been saying since I started these videos that we have to sometimes take the words back to its original language. And if we're talking about the Bible, the original language was Hebrew, Aramaic. You have to take it back to the language and what that word meant back then, to that society that it was written and to those that were listening to the word. You have to take it back then because that's exactly what it means. The over translations with time, we lost the actual original meaning. And because of it, that's why we have to go back. So when I look at this Bible, the word shouting doesn't have any meaning. It's not telling me anything about that. And I thought that was very interesting. And then when I look at etymology says that the origins are unknown. But when you shout, you are doing something with loud voice. And this is interesting because, again, when I look at Joshua chapter 6, it was only saying how it was going to use God certain things to bring the wall down. And right now, some theologians believe that it was some kind of force, some type of vibration. And this is why I'm trying to combine the two, the vibration, which how powerful vibration is. But what is interesting is that what God says, shout. So he's saying the people will shout. He's not saying use an instrument. He's saying that people shout, that people should shout. So that means he's using the voice. And I'm saying this because it doesn't matter what instrument do you use. When you're using an instrument, you don't shout. You just either play high notes or low notes, but you don't shout. You have to use your throat to shout something. Otherwise, you're not shouting at all. It doesn't come from playing an instrument. It's that simple. However, I'm going to read, and it says specifically that, and I'm going to use a New Living Translation for this part. It says over here, now the gates of Jericho were tightly shut because the people were afraid of the Israelites. No one was allowed to go out or in, but the Lord said to Joshua, I have given you Jericho, its king, and all its strong warriors. You and your fighting men should march around the town once a day for 6 days. But on the 7th, priests will walk ahead of the ark, each carrying a ram's horn. But on the 7th day, you are to march around the town 7 times, with the priests blowing the horns. When you hear the priest give one long blast on the ram's horns, have all the people shout as loud as they can. Then the walls of the town will collapse, and the people can charge straight into the town. This is what God said. God is saying that for 6 days, they're going to go once around with the ark, and the 7 priests will carry the horns, the ram's horn, and they will use that to blow, not shout, blow. On the 7th day, they're supposed to march around 7 times. And it says, and when the priests say, the 7th day, when you hear the priest saying, give one long blast on the ram's horn, then it also says, have all the people shout out as loud as they can. Now, on same chapter 6, but verse 20, it says, when the people heard the sound of the ram's horns, they shouted as loud as they could. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho collapsed, and the Israelites charged straight into the town and captured it. They completely destroyed everything in it with their swords, men and women, young and old cattle, sheep, goats, and donkeys. Again, in the beginning, it says that when the people heard the sound of the ram's horn, they shouted as loud as they could, and the walls of Jericho collapsed. Now, What that tells me is that within our voice, within our throat, there is definitely some power that they're not letting us completely understand. Because when I read the Bible, before I started studying theology, I thought that it was, yes, some type of vibration. And a lot of theologians agree that it was some kind of force. But when I'm reading this, and the more that I'm reading, the more it's telling me that when they, even though they went around, they went with the ark, 7 priests were carrying the ram's horn, they were doing that, they were using that. It still said that people shouted, and it's saying the Israelites, right? So that means that going through everything that we're seeing right now, for me, that's extremely important, because it's teaching me that our throat has power. And it's almost as if we want to kind of like visualize what does that represent, then the best thing to do is just for a second, if you can actually go and see if you can watch on Hulu. The show is called Motherland Fourth Salem. And in there, I'm not going to talk about too much, but in there it will show you this specific group of females and males, but specifically in this case, I'm talking about the females, how powerful the vocals are, to the point that it will move things. And again, I'm not saying this is real. The show is not real. It's not. However, if you want to visualize the power of what they're talking about, then you should watch that show, at least the first 2 to 3 episodes, so you can see what the vocals create, how powerful it is. But also it tells me that a little bit of people, meaning the Israelites, right? And why I like that? Because if I also look at the movie, Walt Disney movie back in 98, The Bug Life, in there you can see the power of the people. So, and why I'm using these two different programs or shows, why in the movie, why? Because in The Bug Life, you can see that everyone at the end gets together to defeat the grasshoppers. The grasshoppers are only a few, but the grasshoppers from the beginning, they said that they have to go back, because they have to show them that they're still in control. Because if they figure it out that there are too many, then they will lose control. So we have to remember that. That's one thing we have to remember about this, because the Israelites were less than all the people, that all the different lands that they were conquering. And yeah, they were so powerful that they were afraid, to the point that they destroyed the walls. So as now, if we only remember that if all of us collectively stay together and do something different, then that means that our voice can be more powerful than the ones that we assume or think that are in control. So this is not about trying to say who's more in control and who's not. This is about showing us, again, the movie from Walt Disney back in 98 taught me that when the grasshopper said, no, we have to go back, because we have to show them that we are still in control. Because from the moment they figure it out that there are too many, we will never be able to control them. So it's about understanding that, no, it's about us having this time, the common people getting together and fighting for something more beautiful, for equality, but without fighting, not using force, meaning speaking, meaning addressing situations that helps everybody. Because that's the only way that we're going to come out. We have to treat the same problems of the COVID with the same problems of poverty and homeless people. We have to treat them all the same. Why? Because they all have created death and equality within our society. So we have to address all of them as a problem that it still exists. The day that we figure it out, how can we address certain things, then everything else flows. Yes, society does have a lot of problems, but there is a certain beauty about us as humans that we can transcend, that we can change. And this is not just about changing our frequency, this is also about changing our way of looking at things. And when I remember watching Book Life, that's what it taught me. So the people that are in control are less, but if we wake up and we realize, no, we're the common people, we're the ones that have the power, then they start losing. If we start doing everything as just because they're saying that that's the normal, and we wake up and we realize, no, wait a minute, that can't be normal, then you will be taking control of your life, having for the very first time an aha moment when you're like, I can't go like this anymore. And this is why I like to bring all of that into what I'm saying right now. And also, and a reminder of that show that I just said, the Motherland for Salem. This is a show that started on 2020, and they're just having the second season. Now, if you don't want to look at everything and you just want to look at what I'm talking about, then just go straight to season 2. Episode 1 or 2, it will show you the power of the voice, and it will show you how powerful it is. Now, again, these are science fiction shows and a movie created by Walt Disney. But what is amazing is that it will show you how powerful the shout out of something is, because in Joshua chapter 6, it tells you exactly how powerful it is. And you can now visualize, oh my God, it's that powerful. But we haven't. And this is why I like to create these videos more, because I want to create a balance between religion, between science, and the healing, what we're doing now for healing. And I know the video is going to be a little longer. I hope you find it interesting. I will continue to talk about this more, but this is the second part of the video. I hope you enjoy it and you find it useful for your own growth. And with that being said, many blessings and love to everyone. Thank you for listening.